What's up, guys? I'm excited, and we're gonna start here. I'm gonna do a quick intro. I've got a couple people joining us from the Click Pro. So I got Fred joining us, who's one of the awesomest people in the group. And then later we're gonna be joined by Julie Blackburn, who is so awesome. She's in Australia and gonna get up at 4 a.m. to do this webinar with us because she's got something cool to show. We jumped on yesterday and we worked in Cowork to do something, and she goes, "Do you want me to get up? I would totally get up and show everybody this when we get," because I jumped on with her and we did something super cool because she's got a client that needs a bunch of website copy, and she's basically like, I need this like yesterday, like I need it. And so we built something in Cowork that you guys will, I think, get a lot out of. So where are we today with all the stuff that's going on? It's been a cool month in terms of breakthroughs in AI. I just got off with a client of mine and I was showing them Cowork because I'm trying to move everybody along to this next level, because what's happened is we launched in November 2022 with ChatGPT and it was like, whoa, what is this? Right. And it was like, holy, holy cow. And we had chatbots all of a sudden and they were able to write things and talk to us and they were passing the Turing test. Right. It's like, I don't know if that's a human or that's a real person. Right. And then they cracked the code about a year later and started introducing those reasoning models like one, ChatGPT o1, Gemini launched their thinking model, Claude launched their thinking model. Everybody was launching reasoning models. And that was the unlock that led to today, which is agents. So we literally have agents today. If you haven't been seeing what's going on with the latest capabilities of this stuff, it's bonkers. Like it's absolutely crazy what these tools can now do, how long they can work on something, um, and how these tools function. This is not like the next iteration of ChatGPT or the next iteration of Claude. It's a new era, right? It's the difference between it's as big as when ChatGPT launched, and I would say it's even bigger because of what you'll see today. If you haven't gone through the Claude Cowork Quick Start, you can stick around today and watch workflows be made inside of Cowork. Hopefully, if Cowork is being good, um, and not goofing up on me like it was earlier today, you'll see workflows being built. We're going to work with Fred. I'm sure Victoria will have some stuff. These are all Click Pro members who have been with me for, I don't know, year and a half, more, 2 years. Some of you like working in AI, and these are some of the best AI users in our group, and they're also in our Slack channel, like helping other pro members. It's amazing community here. We got two of the best on here, and then we're going to bring Julian, who's probably just kind of rolling out of bed. I don't know. She's out there in Australia and going to join us in the middle of the morning. It's like 4 a.m. there. And she's going to show you a workflow as well. I'm going to drop a link to Claude Cowork Quick Start. That training is available at the click.ai under the free training section here. So you go to the click.ai, you go to free training, you click on Claude Cowork Quick Start. What this does is it installs a plugin. You can use the plugin that I've created for Claude Cowork to run you through a simple setup. It takes about 10 minutes to set your business up inside of Claude Cowork in a way that I think is very organized, and it builds in some instruction, and it's really easy to use. You just kind of walk. Has anybody done the quick start that's on here? And it's not perfect, I don't think yet. We're iterating on that plugin, but if you want the quick start to getting into Claude Cowork, you will go and you will click on the training assets here, and that will open up a folder. And inside of that is this little zip file. And I walk through in that video here how to install that plugin and then run through the setup. So if you've got a new business that you're excited to start, or you have an existing business, use the Quick Start plugin to get you quickly up and running on Claude Cowork. I did a ton of experimenting with different setups and organizational methods before I landed on this particular setup. And I walk all the way through it in the video. I think everybody that's going to be demonstrating stuff today has used that setup and that quick start. Or maybe Fred Fred likes to do his own thing sometimes. What did you do, Fred? Did you use the quick start?
I do like to do my own things, like to see what other things we can break and fix along the way. And I'm a
Yeah.
tinkerer, but no, I went
Yeah.
through and yeah, no, it's been pretty cool. I'm feeding it different assets, and it's amazing how different it is from chat as far as you would build out a project and have to make these different GPTs, where I think this is like everything's integrated in there. And it's
Oh,
asking me questions. So it was like, well, what does this offer? Like how much is this thing, and how does this work, and what does the customer actually get? And it's asking me questions, and it's really cool.
it's crazy. It's really crazy. And you'll see some of that today, guys. So the agenda today is going to be, we'll start with Fred. Fred wants to implement a social media plan using his StoryBrand framework. I'm kind of going to let you just cook, man, and maybe if you want, I'll probably jump in and say, try it this way, try it that way, or here's something I found. But I'd love for you to turn on your screen and just walk through. And I think we'll learn things. The whole idea behind the click, okay, is we're building things together as a group, right? There's people inside this Click Pros that are talking, they're helping each other, like we're building stuff. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is that I believe you have to learn AI by doing AI. And there's a super shortcut here, which is to watch someone else use AI, right? Like I do that on YouTube a lot. I watch people build stuff on YouTube and I get a lot of pointers. And I think that's what this is for you today is let's build something inside of Claude Cowork. If you've gone through the quick start, you've got the basics. Let's get into like, how do you actually build something here? Because I think one of the questions I got from the quick start and something I'm fixing in the quick start is, okay, I installed it. Now what? What do I do now? Right. And so it's time to get to work. And the way the quick start works is it installs a folder called workflows. It installs a folder called routines in your, I call the growth OS for Claude. And you work inside that folder all the time. And you're going to start building out workflows. And so, did was Angela able to drop that link in here? There she is. So this link, I'll drop it into everyone too, just one more time. This is a really important training, maybe the most important training maybe of my life was this Claude Cowork Quick Start, where I give you a plugin to get started in Claude Cowork. And Fred, if you want to turn on your screen and start to share, are you able to?
Be happy to. I
And
agree. I think this is your most important presentation of February.
February.
Bigger and better
Okay.
things to come.
Right. So, oh yeah, I mean, it's gonna get even more and more fun. I want to do more of these, especially like with the Click Pro members. I want to start doing what I call show and tell. Which you remember show and tell in kindergarten or whatever, where you bring something in from your house. I used to get so excited about show and tell. I could be like, "Oh, look at this is a little dinosaur that I got," and I show it. You just show it to people. I want to do that with this. I want people to be showing and telling. And I think this is the first time we're starting to do this. So, yeah, go ahead and share your screen.
I believe I'm shared.
I'm looking at my quick start. I guess I have
No,
to stop
it's my
sharing.
quick start.
Cool. All right. So you able to share, bud?
Uh, am I sharing? Mine says it is.
It is.
Is this what we're saying?
Not seeing
Somebody
the
tell
screen.
us.
Are you guys seeing the screen?
Yes, we see it. Renee sees it. You don't see it.
Oh, it's got tabs now. I see it now. Go ahead, bud. I'm sorry.
All right. So usually I'm way better at this, but I'm going at this pretty dry,
Well,
like you.
this is called no net right here. The first thing we want to point out, I think, on here is that you need to root down into a folder. This Claude Cowork works in a folder.
So we're adding a folder.
Which business are you working on today?
So today, so I have two. I have the pet store for everybody. I have a pet store and I have an auto repair shop. So today we're working with the auto repair shop. Miles is the only thing I've done. The repair shop is the only thing I've done with Claude so far, because I want to, get everything working and nice, and then, set the girls loose over at the pet store so they can do their thing over there. But this is all I have right now. This folder.
Okay. Okay. So you're rooted into that Claude folder there on your computer. And let's talk about the end result that you want. So the end thing that you want. I think one of the things we have to get used to is that we need to get better at letting Claude figure out how to get there. Now, if we have an idea of how we want it to get there, that's it's okay to give it that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it's very good to start with the end result. Like, what is it that you want to build, and why? Why do you want to build that for Miles Auto Service? So your shop, what are you building and why?
So this is essentially my marketing project from chat, that's now become Claude. So it's going to tell me, we're going to wake up in the morning and say, hey, what things can we do to get more customers, to get more revenue, to build the business out? Um, so it knows my personas right now. I've loaded those in. It knows my offers. I went through basically all of the growth OS stuff to put in there. Now, my question to you is, do we set these out into different folders? Does this all live in the same folder as far as Miles goes? Because today I have a bunch of files put together to build out a marketing calendar for social media, rooted into, not, I almost say rooted because that's based off of StoryBrand. So based off of
Yeah.
Don Miller's StoryBrand training to position your business, just in brand speak, so to say, and, your customer voice or your professional voice, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and
So
I think that's another step here is what do I want the output to be? And then what do I already have? And what do I already have in place? Like you've been doing marketing for Miles Auto Service for years. You've built things out in ChatGPT, you've built things out outside of ChatGPT to market this business. Let's do a couple things. One, are you able to open that Claude folder and just show us what's inside of that thing on your desktop just to give people an idea of a file that we're working with?
we'll look, maybe remember where it's at.
It might be in your documents there. Yeah.
There's not much on here.
It's funny that you don't know where it is, and then Claude's like working in it.
Well, Claude made it, so it knew where it wanted to put it. Nope, not
It's
there.
not work.
Claude plugin, Claude folder. I did look at it too. Nope, that's a quick start. This PC, thank you, Brenda. This PC, bam, in here. Where'd you go? So fast.
So C broke. All right. Well, we don't need it. We don't need it.
Okay.
Why don't you show us? Why don't you show us the other stuff that you've gathered together around StoryBrand? Like you have some documents and stuff like that that talk about your StoryBrand brand script looks like. You've got if you guys don't know what StoryBrand is, it's a famous framework for communications. Basically, there's a book called StoryBrand by Donald Miller, and I've seen him speak. I've had dinner with him. Like he's an amazing marketer, and he uses this framework called StoryBrand, which runs through the hero's journey framework. The character has a problem, meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action that helps them avoid failure. You can see it there on Fred's screen. What
It's
did
pretty
you?
funny because in his presentation, he says he's going to ruin movies for you. And he did
Yeah.
because he put Narnia, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and Jaws all together. And it was like, here's the four things, and this is what happens in all four movies.
They're all the
It's
same
just puts it
story.
all the same thing. It's pretty funny, but it makes sense because, as humans, we're tuned into stories. You see something, it's why we read stories to kids to put them to sleep. You'll listen to a story, but everything else, your mind starts to wander and everything else. So you can put your business into a story, your customers will remember you. So I kept
And
this
so
one pretty.
you've done this with ChatGPT, I guess, is you've worked with it to understand your story brand framework, your hero's journey. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. This is I was working with chat, putting this together. I've done it before with the StoryBrand themselves, but just in putting together one page, I was trying to build out a GPT to create the let me get an idea for an offer and put it together, and now you build me a story around the offer
Yeah,
and
and
make this work.
I think one of the troubles with Story Brand, if you just read the book and you don't go through his workshop, which costs thousands of dollars and stuff, and is you get to the end and you're like, okay, I got this Story Brand framework. What do I do with it? And so your intention is to use your Story Brand framework to create social media content that people like. What channels do you use for social? Do you already know? Do you
Just
use
Google uh, my business posts. It's just basic stuff. Google my business posts, and then Meta. Putting Facebook and Instagram stories together, just making little goofy things like that. We shot some weird movies a while back and put those on YouTube. just funny, spoofy commercials. We did a Groundhog
Yeah.
Day where the car was trying to find its shadow.
Right.
We did Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is trying to buy a used car, things like that. It was just goofy things. But that's my channels. That's I'm just looking to put posts together to keep top of mind to a customer, and something that's going to be interesting that they're going to look at and see, and not just constantly bombard them with buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff.
Is this so this is just the StoryBrand framework, am I right? Do you
Yes,
have
the
a
first. Yeah, I put a couple together as far like this is a generic one. If we can share that, everyone just drop in there and use. I put together a another one. Where am I at? Down here.
yeah, that framework, so you're saying, like, this framework right here is the generic version of it, and then you've got one that's already filled out for, Miles?
So yeah, I put another one together just for Miles, which this one was set up more for Claude. That I was setting it up for Claude. This is like the final version. It has all of my fine details in there. Who more to me than anyone else. So I figured the other one would be easier to share if anyone else wants to use it. But this has my personas. I got
Are
three
those
different.
and those personas are already inside your Claude Cowork in Growth OS?
Yes.
So it knows who Lisa is, it knows who Jim is, it knows
Yep.
who Jack and Jill are. And this thing contains your story brand article system. Run us through this real quick. Like, what is this thing? How does
So
it
this is
work?
the first, basically this married together that went into Miles' folder in chat, and I said put these two together and take out my offers, my personas, put these together to make this a more cohesive document to put into a GPT to have better instructions. So this was the final setup for there, and then we did a add-on that was the add-on talks about just specific stuff for anchoring in Miles and putting these things together. So I was going to put these two files into Claude. I haven't done it yet. The only thing I've really done with Claude is put your OS in and mess around a little bit on the query side on the bot side, of just asking questions. I didn't do the co-work stuff. I've only done the co-work stuff with the OS. That's why I figured this would be a good opportunity for but like I
Yeah.
said, I'm guessing I just add this on here, add a new file, or am I working
Well,
inside of Miles Pro?
and somebody just said Claude is having issues, and I was having issues earlier. Let's see how you're doing. But you open up that finished version of not the add-on, but the finished version of your system that you created and you use ChatGPT for this. But we're gonna let Claude ingest this thing. So select it all and copy it as Markdown. And if you don't know why to copy it as Markdown, you need to join the Click Pro. So paste it in there, or yeah, attach it is fine.
Already got
We're basically gonna give it access to his StoryBrand framework, which talks about the hero's journey for his customers. So if you want to either attach that or you can just copy and paste it in. And now let's write a prompt like this. So let's stay focused just to keep this a little bit focused. And this prompt doesn't have to be, perfectly like I say it, but let's just basically focus on Instagram. So why don't you tell it, I want you to follow this story brand script. I want to create a new process where I'm creating Instagram posts based on this story brand script. I need you to make a plan. So I would suggest a lot of times starting with make a plan as to how you will implement this into my growth OS so that we can create. And so what we're going to first do is let the AI spend its energy planning, and then we'll let it make any changes we want and we'll implement the plan. So follow this file to make Instagram posts, create a plan.
I was gonna say make a table of
Well, don't tell it. So this is the part where I would say, don't tell it necessarily how to do it. In ChatGPT, I would have said, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Let's let this thing roll and see how it does. So um, this could be all very anticlimactic if the AI doesn't work because of Claude's having desktop problems. But follow this file to make Instagram posts, create a plan to implement this in Growth OS, or to implement this in my folder. Let's see if it runs. or if Claude's
Yeah,
gonna.
mine was a little clunky last night. It kept locking up, so I shut everything down and redid everything first thing this morning. It's been working fine so far today.
Okay, so it's taking the StoryBrand script and then it's clunking out on you. But let me just point out why I said step one, make a plan, right? So this AI is so much more advanced than what we were working with even just a few months ago that it will be able to make a plan. You don't need to necessarily tell it how to get there because it has access to that folder and it's going to be able to figure out the right way to set this up. And you might make some changes to its plan, but for the most part, my guess is that it would nail it. Let's see if yours comes back on. I'm going to share something on my side because I've already completed it. You can see that Claude's having problems on their desktop here. If yours comes back on, Fred, let me know because I want to show you something that I built literally before I even finished my first cup of coffee this morning. So, and this was when Claude was working. So I said to it, I started out and I said, all right, I want to build a skill called customer service rep. And what I wanted to do is, one, go fetch some emails out of my Gmail. Then I want you to search a knowledge base for the answer to that customer service question. I want you to then reply based on the information in the knowledge base and then hand it back to me and say, do you like this reply? Do you want to make any changes? And then the last step, send out the email and reply to the customer service question. So Claude says that makes sense. It's a loop. Pull, research, draft, approve, and send. Before I start building, let me nail down a few details. I want you to know that all I did to build this was had sort of a big picture idea of what I want to happen. I did give it a little bit of the how because I had that information in my head, like how I think that would work, that I have customer service emails that come into my Gmail that we could create a knowledge base that could answer most of these questions that I get, and Angela and I get. I can craft the reply based on the knowledge source. And then I knew all of that existed. And so I just gave it as much as I could. And then it asked me some questions. It said, how do I know which Gmail folder should I pull from? And it said, and I said, it's the support folder. So this is the difference between, when I say that these AIs have grown up, what I mean by that is that these AIs are a couple of things. One, they are rooted down into your drive. They are able to make files, delete file. Well, they're actually not able to delete files as of today, which is probably a good thing. And they're able to create files, delete files, etc. And they are also able to connect to external sources. So that's what makes the workflow that I'm proposing to Claude possible is that I have Gmail connected through here. So it's able to go into my Gmail. It is able to go look at my email through Zapier, but there's also a native connection here for it to do that as well. And it's like, okay, let's do it. So it says, let me fire up the skill creator. Let me look at how your existing skills are structured. Good. We got the patterns. It's just doing all this on its own. And it starts to create what's called a very important file, which is called a skill.md file. And this file is not created by me. It's created by Claude. And I don't want to mess with this file. Like I want Claude to write it. And if it doesn't, if the skill doesn't do what I want it to do, I will just explain to it, no, I don't like how you did this. I don't like how you did that. And it will go and update the skill on its own. I don't need to mess with it. And then the next time I test it or run it again, it will fix itself, right? So it gets better and better and better. These skill files are super central to what makes Claude Cowork work is that it creates these skill files and the skill files live on your computer in that folder that you're rooted into. You can see I'm in a folder called Growth OS for Claude. And there's a bunch of skills that it wrote when I was working on this that it needs to do what I asked it to do. And so it's very different than working with Chat GPT, where you would create a GPT and if it didn't do what you wanted it to do, you have to go in there and figure out why. The ChatGPT can't edit it, right? It can't heal itself. It doesn't create the skills on its own. The other thing about this is that you don't have to tell it to use a skill. It just knows that I need this skill or I need that skill to do what Russ is asking it to do. So, what did it do next? It built the knowledge base. So, it built inside of my folder, it built these files. It built a file called membership and billing, which talks about how much my membership costs, like in the terms of service, like there's all that detail is in there. It built a product and tech support, trainings and events, general inquiries. And it created these files and added whatever information it had already about me from working in here in this thing, and it added in there. And I can go and add more or work with Claude to add more and more and more so that this AI is able to answer more and more customer service questions. Then it said, okay, cool. Do you want to, it said, before I register this, I could pull your support label. So I'll go pull the emails right now. Do you want me to do that? And I said, yes, go ahead, pull that. So it's like, let me pull the support queue. So it went into my Gmail, looked to see if I had any new support emails. And then it looks like it timed out the first time and then retried it. And it came back with, this is what's in your support queue right now. There was one email called the cost of the Click Pro, which I actually sent to myself to test this. And it was smart enough to know, looks like you sent that to yourself, right? Which really tripped me out, Fred, when I was like, yeah, dude, you're smart. Like the test email, that is a test email. And so it says number one is a pricing question. The knowledge base has the answer, $990 a year. The other two are spammy sales pitches. Let's skip those. And the other one got handled by Angela already. And I said, okay. And then it said, do you want me to run through number one as an end-to-end test? And I said, yeah, I'd like you to create rules that will intelligently consider the email and skip it so you don't show it to me at all. Like, I don't want to see spam emails come back into Cowork. I don't want to see those. It's like, good call. Let me update the skill. This is the example of the AI saying, okay, I need to go make a new note inside that skill. And the next time I definitely won't even talk to you about the spam emails. I'll just skip them. And then it says, okay, let me update the skill, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, good. Now let's run a full end-to-end test. And it says, cost of the Click Pro, auto skip. It's a self-sent test email. And I came back down here and I said something like, don't skip that. That's the test, right? And so it said, okay, I see Russ's email. So I sent myself a support email that said, hey, I can't figure out how much the Click Pro costs. And I added a little bit of detail to my message to myself to see if the AI would personalize the response. I said, I'm living in New Orleans. I run a craft brewery. I don't know if that's like some secret, like, dream of mine to run a craft brewery or something, but I don't know why I typed that.
I'd make it a speakeasy.
Yeah, I run a speakeasy. And then it said, cool, I find a knowledge base match in your membership and billing area about how much the Click Pro costs. Here is the draft reply that I'm suggesting we send back. It says, hey, the Click Pro membership is $990 a year. Which is actually $300 off right now. I don't know if Angela's on here, but she could probably send you a link to the coupon with the coupon code attached to it. If you want to join the Click Pro right now, this is the time to do it. It's $300 off. Coupon code is Claude because it's exciting out here. So Click Pro membership, $990 a year. It answers it back. And then it says, are you ready to send this? Because I could push this back out from here. I can just say, yeah, send that. Or I can say, I don't like how you did that. Like, we're running through this test and I did it. I said, are you able to give me the ability to edit these replies rather than have to prompt back to change this and change that? And it's like, sure, let me just give you that ability. So I'm going to go ahead and start dropping a link so that you can edit the file whenever you want. So here's that email. And I can make changes to that. And it says, again, do you want me to send this? Right. And I think I even got, it says, do you want me to send, if you edited something, say send edited. If you just want me to send it as is, say send. If you want me to skip it, just say skip. So I just type in skip or I say send or whatever. And what it did here was it went and edited the skill again. It edited the skill to say, make sure that that you have a link to uh, that opens the actual file, so I can edit that and change it rather than prompting you to edit it. And then it says, okay, let me reread the file to pick up your edits. Cool, cool, cool. Then I got a little picky with it and I said, in your reply, always make sure you start with a pleasant greeting. For example, use the person's name if possible, even if it's just hi Russ, instead of just going directly into the response. Because I didn't like how it was basically like, "Oh, this is a real human somewhere." And it just went in and it was like, I don't want to open an email that just says the Click Pro membership is $990 a year. So I can adjust its tone. I can adjust its, how it writes. I could say, you're being too hypey. You're being too professional. Be a little more silly. Like do whatever I want. And it'll go edit the skill, right? It's a flexible, malleable situation here. It's not a locked down, closed down custom GPT like we were working with, or even in Claude Chat in projects. It just wasn't, it didn't work this way. So then it says, cool. And I said, all right, now I want you to do this every morning for me. When I say good morning, so my morning routine, which is part of the Claude Quick Start, is to set up your first morning routine. So you say good morning, and it kicks off a bunch of skills. It starts to do stuff, right? So for me, my morning routine does 9 things right now, and it does it over like 15 minutes. It goes and does things, including now checking my customer service queue to see if there's any emails in there that I need to um, mess with. This is a different workflow. I probably should have done this in a new chat. I won't go through this one. It's a little crazy. All right. So this is an example of a workflow that I'm like, this is annoying. Like I keep having to go over here, check my customer service tickets and see if there's things in there and then craft the replies. How about I build a knowledge base right here inside of my growth OS for Claude Cowork and populate that and have Claude just go grab those things, craft the replies, make it so I can edit them real quick, and then have Claude send them as well. And that's an example of a workflow that has multiple skills and multiple connections. Well, actually, just one connection, which is to Gmail. This is how my Claude Cowork is set up. It's obviously got access to the web like every other AI. It can use your browser, although it's quite clunky today and will get better, I'm sure. But it's connected to Notion, it's connected to Google Calendar, Gmail, Slack, Zoom, and Beehive. And so it is bonkers what happens when it becomes ambiently aware of the fact that I had a webinar today because it knows that what's in my Zoom. It knows that there's a webinar scheduled. It can go grab the registrations from it. It can go figure out how many people showed up for the webinar today. It can do that kind of stuff. And so it's weird. Like you'll be talking to it and it's like, well, you had a 60% show up rate at that webinar. And because of that, maybe we should do a blog post about that. Like it's crazy what starts to happen when it becomes connected to other things, other context. It's connected to your folder so it can write skills, edit skills, change skills. It can work across long time horizons. So it can work for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour on something. If you set it up and say, I want you to do this and then this and then this and then this, and it's almost like you don't even tell it. So unfortunately, Fred's wasn't working, but like, I want you to
Uh,
think, is it up now?
it's doing stuff. So go ahead, finish your thought there. Just let you know that
Well, what I
we
was
have
going to
things I can
say is,
share.
by feeding it his brand story and saying, hey, create a plan. Why don't you go ahead and see if it'll run that command, and then if it does, we'll flip your screen back on. See if it'll
Oh,
build us a
past that.
plan. You already did that?
Yeah, I put the file in. I had to force it in and push it through a few times. And then I said, "Did you see this file?" Yes. What do you want me to do with it? And I started talking about what you're saying there, and it's asked me a few questions. So when you're ready, oh, it's nice. Look at this. It's amazing. Sorry. Once we switch over,
Why
it's
don't
cool.
this? I'm gonna bring in Julie if she's here. what I want you to do, Fred, so you can show this right at the end, at the end, hopefully. Tell Claude to what do you think about the plan? Is it good? Yeah, yeah, Fred, do you like the
Oh,
plan?
yeah, no, it's it's really
How
cool.
about you just, you know, if you have any obvious edits, do it, but instead just tell it to implement the plan. And then I'm going to come back to you after I talk to Julie and let's see what it did. Okay. You can kind of walk us through it.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to promote you, Julie, to talk. Now, you got to remember, Julie is MVP level Click Pro member because it's 4 o'clock in the morning over there in Australia. How are you?
How are you?
Good. Sleep well?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay, good.
It was shorter than normal, but it was good.
Tell everybody what you do and what your situation is with this client you have.
I have a client who had someone, they were joining a merger, it fell over, and one of the promised assets was a brand new website. So he sort of came to me with some wireframes and said, "We need this website next week." So I was like, "Russ, how do I do this?" And so we've got a couple of days to deliver a complete website. So there's a lot of brand assets in terms of event recordings and stuff like that. But it looks like we're going to be able to deliver a website in a couple of days, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so Julie and I jumped on my last night, heard this. Yeah,
Yesterday.
dude, I've been
Yesterday.
over Australia. Australia's like a time warp for me. I don't even know what. So for you, you slept. I slept. I don't know what happened. About 20 hours ago,
24.
we talked.
Yeah.
Okay, so is your Claude Cowork working? You want to turn on your screen and just walk
Well, to
through.
be honest, I
Yes.
didn't get up and try it before this morning.
Well, if nothing else, we could just show them what we
Mm,
did last night.
yeah.
So
So,
let me bring everybody up to speed on what we had to work with. And maybe you can pull open some of these files for us. So
mhm,
she was
yep.
starting with, and this is important to figure out, like, what do I already have in place? So she had gone through the Claude Quick Start, right? That you guys have linked to, and it's pretty it's not perfect, but it's pretty freaking cool how easily it'll set up Claude. So she set up the Claude Quick Start for this company who does, I love this, motorcycle training, right? So they do motorcycle training, safety training, all of that kind of stuff. Now, what she was starting with was an idea of the persona, the offer, stuff like that. And she set all that up in doing the quick start. Even if you're starting with a brand new business, go through the quick start because it's crazy how good it is at figuring out how to build this out for you. But if you have existing assets, like already have persona documents and stuff like that, you can feed that in during the quick start as well. But she set it up on the quick start and she has a folder on her computer, right? Called Growth OS for Smart Rider Academy. And you can see her folder structure there. That's how yours will be set up as well when you go through the quick start. It'll have the core, which contains things like persona, offer. These are core documents, business info, content rules. And again, Growth OS, the plugin will help you get that going. And then we've got routines, wireframes, and workflows. So she's set up, she's ready to rock. She's got to build a website, and you don't actually have to build the whole website. You need the copy, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, they had already engaged a developer.
So you already had a developer, and the developer built wireframes. Do you have any of those wireframes handy that you can
Yep.
show? Okay, so these are basic wireframes like we've been working with for years, but that's a good starting point. She's got a wireframe. She's got an idea of the offer. She's got an idea of the persona. She's got to write copy. She's got to write copy that fills in all of the placeholder copy on this page. And then she had something else. Now, if we hadn't have had this, we still could have done the work, but it wouldn't have been nearly as good. And that other thing was the transcript of the motorcycle training, right? It was like
Yep.
5 hours of training.
Yeah, and I did hit my limit last night, Russ. It jammed till about 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely should have shortened those.
Let's see if your cowork works. Start a
Yep.
new task, root down into that Growth OS for Smart Rider folder. So now she has access to everything in that folder, including the core files, the brand design, the persona, the offer, all that stuff. So the first thing we did, remind me, the first thing we did was we explained what we were doing. We're like, we need to write copy for
Yes.
the website for this business. and here's the homepage wireframe. Give me the copy requirements for this page. Try that out again, and let's just see how it goes. So again, sort of figuring out one of the skills of AI, I think, is figuring out what can it handle in one go. You know what I mean? Like, how much should I give it at once to do? And it's definitely gotten to where it can do more. It's definitely
Do
got where it can do more at once. So you're rooted down in there. So we're saying
do you
right now,
want a different page or the same page, Ross? Do you want me to do the home page again or a different page?
well, it's gonna know too much about the homepage because you already built it.
Yeah, okay.
Let's try another one. Like, let's build another one from scratch here. What's another page you're gonna have to build copy for? How about the about page? Did you do that yet?
No, I didn't know.
All right. So you got a wireframe for the about page, and then we're gonna ask it to give us the copy requirements. Like, what are the different things we need on the homepage? Do we need a headline? Do we need a subheadline? And the wireframe tells that story. So we're feeding it to we're writing the copy for this about us page, and I want you to analyze wireframe, list the copy requirements. So run that, and let's see if your AI is working or if yours is broken, like mine was this morning. And again, like the idea here is to feed it something that it can tackle in one round, or what we call turn in AI terms is called a turn. So it's got one round of compute here, and we want it to spend that compute power analyzing that PDF file and then returning back to us saying, here are the copy requirements from that wireframe. We're not asking it to write the copy. We're not asking it to do any of that. We're just saying, what are the requirements for this page? So it comes back and it says that we need a hero section, headline, subhead, trust badge line, video block, and then there's a section down there called empowering writers with 4 body paragraphs, mission, label, descriptor. Did you load in their mission statement and stuff like that? You already had that stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it's not exactly a mission statement, but yeah, they had some brand guidelines, which I actually built out using the Growth OS in ChatGPT originally. So I have that context engine document that you taught us to use or create.
Yeah, so she had a little bit of stuff on mission, vision, values. If she didn't, she could work on that with Claude and get it set up or have Claude create it or whatever. But so you can see what's happened here is the AI has figured out the different copy requirements. Now, what did we do next?
I think
When we were starting from zero, we fed it the transcripts next.
then we told, yeah, we had the transcripts, the
But
persona, and the offer document.
but those transcripts are already in your folder because we already fed it to it
Yep.
yesterday. So
Mhm.
that's the thing to wrap your head around, guys, is that if you feed it something, it thinks it's going to need it. It's going to save it into your folder. It's going to keep it. My guess is that we don't need to do anything else at this point. Like we don't have anything else to feed it. So let's have it go ahead and write the copy for this page based on the requirements that came from the wireframe.
I did put the brand voice in overnight though, so I don't know if that means I need to change anything or not in terms of what I tell it to do now.
While it's working, how did you go about adding the brand voice? Was it something that already existed, or
Yes, so I had built that out in the context engine document. So it's in
built that
sections.
out? You had built that out in ChatGPT earlier. So
Yes.
all of your stuff that you've done, like I think some people have been telling me like, man, I got so much stuff in
Mhm.
ChatGPT. You could just
It's all
move it
in
over.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could
I mean,
just
I built it this way after the Growth OS training, and it's so much easier to move it across. And in fact, I dropped the brand voice in, and I forgot it had GPT instructions at the bottom, and it just said, "I'll update this as a skill," or whatever it said.
I mean, all you got to do is copy the instruction. If you created a GPT that you love and you use all the time, copy the instructions. Bonus if you copy it as Markdown, drop it into Claude and say, this is a skill. I want you to build this as a skill. It's an old custom GPT that I use. I love this GPT. I want you to build this as a skill. And now it'll become a skill that is editable and it will call that skill when it needs it. You can tell it explicitly, I want you to use this skill when, right? So let's say it's a document that creates a particular output, like a calendar, or creates a certain type of social media post, and you like that GPT, just copy paste it in, tell it what it does, and tell it to put. I like to tell it Claude all the time, like, just put this where it goes. Just put this where it goes. Like, this is your folder. Just put it where it goes, where it's most organized. So now it's getting busy. I want to point out something on your screen, guys. It says, before I start writing, let me read the brand files and check the Draper skill. So Draper, if you've been hanging around with the Click for a while, Draper is a GPT that we were using over at ChatGPT. Everybody seems to like it a lot. I use it all the time. It's a brand voice that writes with a really punchy, persuasive style. I named it Draper because it reminds me of the way Don Draper talks in Mad Men. And this AI knows, oh, Julie's writing something, and she likes to use the Draper brand voice when she's writing this kind of stuff. So she didn't have to tell it to use Draper. It went and used Draper on its own. And this is the thing to kind of get your head around. And if the copy comes back and she doesn't like something about it, like it's too hypey or something, we can say, hey, that copy's way too hypey. Like it's over the top. You just tell Claude it's too hypey. And maybe bonus, if you give it an example of something you think is too hypey, like that sentence right there, I would never publish that. And give it back, and it'll go rewrite the skill. It'll go add some things in there that'll tone it down a little bit, right? So every time it does something wrong, just tell it. Give it examples if you can. It says, okay, I got everything I need. Applying the Draper craft, Smart Writer brand guidelines now. Now,
When I put the brand voice in last night, Ross, I said not to put it above the Draper skill for the copywriting because it's actually just sort of things like we don't want to do too much fear marketing, that sort of stuff. So it's sort of just more about the way that we speak about the pain. So I said use Draper as the priority and then make sure it doesn't clash with the brand voice.
well, there it goes. It outputted your About Us copy. All right. Now, it's building this copy in a way that is very organized and could be delivered to the client. But then we went another step. And last night when we were reading the copy, we were like, wow, this is good copy. I mean, and so this is the about copy. But then we took it another step and we said, just build the page, like build the HTML for the page. Let's not do that today. We could jump over and show another one that's already done because it takes.
Oh yeah, I opened it
minutes.
before actually. That's this is what it built.
Yeah, so it built this page. So then we said, and she doesn't have to do this. This is not part of what she's being paid to do for this client. She just needs to write the copy. But isn't this a cool way to show a client your copy is not just in Google Docs or something, but just go ahead and have an HTML page built like that's already done. And what's crazy is how well it nailed the copy. It got that part right. That section right there, it got it correct. That was crazy that it got the different sections of the training correct using the transcript that it had available to it. But the big picture thing I want to do last here, and you don't have to execute this, Julie, but you would go back into Claude Cowork after you're happy with the output. And what do? Build a skill. So you say, build a skill. Now, I want you to look at everything we just did here. Build a skill that will build copy based on a wireframe every time the same way that we did it just now, right? And so if she starts to say, I want to build the next page, it'll say, okay, cool, where's the wireframe? And you just hand it the wireframe and it will, on its own, it'll run off and go, okay, let me look at the copy requirements off of the wireframe, and then let me write the copy. And then if you built it in there, let me just build the page, the HTML page. And particularly if you go back into Cowork, Julie, particularly if you're using the biggest model that they have down there, she's using Sonnet. If you would switch to Opus, it would probably be able to knock that all out in one turn where it would look at the wireframe, list the copy requirements, write the copy, build the page. And then, yeah, if you want to take yourself completely out of the loop, send the page to the client. You know what I mean? Like, it's like email it to the client. This is what it looks like to have much more agentic workflow here. It's using skills. It's using external tools, able to work across longer time horizons for a minute, 10 minutes, an hour on a task. And whenever it's just tell it what you want it to do and have it keep building skills. If you're just getting started with this, I very much encourage you go back to that link and use the Claude Cowork Quick Start to get yourself set up initially in a good way, like a good launch pad here, so that you're not starting with just an empty folder, but that your AI is already sort of like set up correctly. And there's a little section when you finish the quick start where I ask you, where I say, hey, take a screenshot of this and tag me on LinkedIn. And a lot of people have been doing that, and I appreciate that a lot. What was your big takeaway, though, Julie, from what we did here last night and how this is working? Like, how does this feel different to you from ChatGPT? Is there anything that jumps to mind?
Well, I think I've been following what you've been teaching us, and so I was sort of getting used to sitting with the thread and working through the plan. I'd ask for the plan, sort of what we did here, but a lot more detailed, and I'd have to spend a lot more time sort of getting the rails clear. So I was kind of a bit shocked that we said do this, and then you and I were off talking about other things, and I came back and went, "Oh, this is done." Like that whole workflow, I didn't have to think through each step and try and keep it on the rails. So not just that, but also to to get copy that good that quickly is sort of it was a bit mind-boggling to me, but
Well, and
I don't know, and we didn't show anyone either, but like I have the staging site from the developers, so like it was kind of wild that while I think within the first 20 minutes we were looking at this HTML file, but this is the developers staging site,
okay, this is
and
what the
it's
developers built.
yeah, yeah. So they're grinding away for God knows how many hours to produce this, and I think we're 20 minutes in when we pulled this off. So
And all
and
you
also
would
there
do,
was so many
if
things that we didn't like I didn't tell it to write that it got right. That's the other thing. Like all these statistics and stuff, I didn't
it got
I haven't
these
listened to the
statistics.
5 hours, like I didn't listen to the 5-hour training, but I know some of these statistics are right. We didn't put any of that in here. All the event names are correct. Like even all down here was all correct. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can see that the site that the developers built, that your client probably paid K plus for. This is what's happening, guys. Like,
Mm.
she doesn't need to know how to build a website. She needs to know how to use AI. Like, she needs to know how to structure it right. And she could have picked up another 10 grand and felt more confident about saying, I'll build the site too, right? Because I know Claude will help me do that.
I
Reasons.
didn't know that 20 hours ago though, Russ.
It's one of the reasons to be a part of a community like this too. Is just we're always in here sharing. Like, look at what this is able to do. Look at what that's able to do. And what it's
Mm.
doing is it's opening us up to new services that we can provide. Like, I got to tell you guys, I've been doing digital marketing for 20 years. When we would go to build a new website, it would take
Mm.
months, sometimes years. Sometimes it would get dragged out and never get done. When we would just go to build a new sales page, we'd go to build a new sales page, it'd take a week, right? You need a front end developer, you need a graphic designer, you need maybe somebody to do video, you need a copywriter, you need, and then you need the overarching marketer who knows what the offer is and how to get traffic on it and all that stuff. All of those people are you and Claude now, right? Like, that's what is happening. Fred, do you want to jump back in? This was really cool. I hope, guys, what I want you to do, if you're on this webinar, is give a round of applause for Julie. Like, are you going to go back to bed, or are you going
No,
to? Are
no,
you up?
no. I've got 3 hours till a client call, so I'll just get
Okay.
some. I'll build the rest of the site. I think probably until Cowork has a meltdown.
Yeah, let us know what ends up happening with the client. And do they like the copy? I'll tell you, I've been writing copy for a long time, and I looked at the copy, and because it had so much context, starting with the quick start at Growth OS to get the persona in there, to get the offer in there, to get some of these things set up that Growth OS does with that quick start, it nailed the copy. And it would have done a pretty good job without that transcript of the actual training that you're selling. But once we gave it that was like game over. Like, the AI was like, hold my beer, I got this.
Everything other than those event transcripts, though, everything that is in that context folder all came from the Growth OS course. Like that all got built out from that course. That's all I
Yeah.
used. Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening on your end there, Fred? Did it
It's
do
good
anything
stuff.
cool?
Well, I got my head out of my butt and I figured out where this file is. So if you needed to look inside of the Claude folder,
Well, I think it's not necessary, but like, I think that when you're getting started with Claude Cowork, you start with this empty folder and then Claude starts to build things in there. And I think it's very instructive to keep that folder open when you're first getting started and take your time and watch what it's doing in the folder. Because A, you might not like what it's or how it's organizing it. And that might be something you would want to tell it. I don't like how that's getting organized. But the other thing is just watch how the thing works because you start to understand how it works under the hood. But where were we with this? You fed it a story brand about Miles Auto Service and its customers and clients who have their cars fixed with you and repaired with you. And you fed it that story brand. So you started with something which was a cool, like, hero's journey about, people that are your customer. And then what did we tell it? What happened here?
So I had to go through and force that file in there, and it kept, clunking out on me. So I was like, "Did you see this file?" And yep, I do see it. So and then it ran through and it started to build it all out. It's doing its thing. It was very minimal. It gave it the file, and it's asking me. It already knows what it wants to do. So
Okay.
this is impressive. That's what I was saying. It was like once we get back, it's just put this all this stuff together. It knows where I am, what we're doing, why we're doing it. What do you want me to do with this? So build it into a market
So you
flow,
said build it into a workflow to make a marketing calendar for Meta posts. Okay.
and
And
then
then it asks
it
you
pulled
some
up uh, like a little multiple choice. So it's like, you want weekly, monthly, whatever, how many posts a week? How do you want the count? It's asking me questions of what it is. So I'm just, clicking down and bam, it just pulls everything out. Here, done, it's built. So now we have workflows, meta calendar. I got my calendar over here. Oops, stop it.
last step. Last step here would be analyze everything that you did, Claude, and build a skill that builds this calendar every time I tell you to build the social media calendar. And when it builds it out next time, or even this time, and you don't like how it's doing it, explain why you don't like how it's doing it so they can go fix that skill file. But that skill is now, it's kind of weird when I'm working today, and I don't know if anybody else is feeling this. And there's some kind of sadness to it a little bit, actually, where when I finally get something that Claude can do and the skill just works, some part of me says, I'll never do that again. Like, I'll never do that work again, stuff that I've been doing for 20 years. And there's something sentimental in me that makes me go, like, I don't know. I don't want to, but there's something weird about handing that over and just saying, like, that's now automated, buddy. Like, you don't have to go over to Zoom and create a Zoom webinar anymore. Just let me go build the Zoom webinar.
KJ said
Uh,
empty AI empty nester syndrome.
that's right. I
It's-
mean, like,
That was
but look, this is where it's going, right? Like, when you start to think about working in external systems, working in internal systems, so working in external apps, whether it's Zoom or Notion or Slack or Google Calendar or Gmail, all of that stuff. And then the internal systems, your folders, your documents, your SOPs that nobody ever looks at and actually creates, they create them and never look at them again. The AI will look at that SOP. And that's what's called a skill, right? And that it will follow that skill. And once you figure out it needs to be connected to these two things and have this set of instructions, it is true. You probably will never, ever do that task again. And what I just told a client right before we got on this call, I said, this is something you're going to have to talk to your employees about, where it's a matter of what we want to do. This is one way to think about this is that your business, so this company has about 80 employees. That company of 80 employees could build a 10 times larger business in terms of revenue with the same team if they employ this kind of thing, because so much of the work, I just had to tell the people on the call, the three sort of most senior members of that team, I said, guys, I promise you this, Claude Cowork can already do a lot of your job. That's the truth. And that's sort of where we are. Claude Cowork can already do a lot of your job. And when you get the hang of this, I want you to, if you're going in with this, which is what I'm doing, like, I'm learning this stuff, I'm implementing, I am moving things forward. But like it or not, the truth is a lot of what you do in your work every day, Claude Cowork can already right now do it. And this happened here in February. This happened here in 2026, not 2025. The agents have arrived. They're here. This is not a, well, when will the agents get here? These things take multiple actions across long time horizons. They make plans and they memorize everything that you tell it about how to do this and how to do that. And by the way, most of the time you don't even have to tell it. It's just so freaking intuitive. Particularly the more context it gets about what you're working on, you'll start to feel it. I've been working in here for about 2.5 weeks and it keeps getting stronger every day. I'd love to have you in the Click Pro. I took $300 off. Once I started moving everybody into Claude Cowork, I said, let's run a discount. I haven't run a discount. I didn't even run a discount on Black Friday. We've been at $990 a year. It's now at $690. I don't know if Angela's here. You can drop the link in there again with the coupon code.
She did?
She did. Just use that coupon code, or if you go to the click.ai and you don't see the coupon, it should be $690 right now. Use the coupon code Claude, all capital letters, and it'll knock $300 off. And we'd love to have you in here. We're all getting gathered together in Slack. We're doing Zoom meetings. We're doing a lot of things like this. We're going to do a lot more show and tell like this. We're going to help each other grow businesses, launch new things. We'd love to have you in here. I so appreciate Fred, you jumping on. You're out there in a snowstorm up to your head in New Jersey with snow up to your ears. Julie's up at 4 o'clock in the morning. These are serious Click Pro members. Victoria was on here from the
Definitely.
city. All right, y'all. I hope you got something out of this. Thanks everybody who came and learned things and shared. And we'll see you next time. Have a
Bye-bye.
great rest of your day. See you later. Bye.